one.
Hey everybody, it's Eric Pappenfuss. It's Friday, so it must be a buy day. And today we have a special Halloween-themed buy day because we're going to do books on magic that have just recently come into the bookstore. Let's get started. And I should say that today I'm being assisted by one of our workers here at the Scholar, Emily, because Amanda is off today. This has nothing to do with the trick if you're watching at home, but I want to welcome Amanda to the buy day family. All right, book number one is a fascinating book that came from a bookstore in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, called The Dr. Q Book. And it was written in the early 20th century by a famous mentalist called Alexander. And the great Alexander went with the moniker, The Man Who Knows. And Alexander wrote this book, which was famous at the time because it exposed the acts of other famous mentalists who were performing at the same time. Alexander earned over $1 million doing his act up and down the coast of America, but there was a famous husband and wife team called the Zanzigs that went throughout Europe, and they were mentalists as well, and Alexander was jealous, so he exposed their code in this book, the Dr. Q Book. Never before been done before. Now, the Zanzigs are famous, Emily, because they fooled, among other people, the great Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And it is a question of great literary interest that Arthur Conan Doyle, the man who invented the rational character of Sherlock Holmes, well, he believed in ghosts, he believes in fairies, he believed in the supernatural, and he went around authenticating actual acts of spiritualism. And he was fooled by the Zanzigs, but Alexander wasn't. So I think the best way to show you the power of the Dr. Q Book is to do an actual trick of the Zanzigs, which is to guess a number. So Emily, I'm going to send you into the back room here to find one of our employees, ask them to guess a number between 1 and 100, and then you're going to come back to me and I will use my powers of mental telepathy to guess what that number is. Got it?
All right, let's do it.
Here we go.
I'm making my way over to our assistant, Mitzi. Hello.
Hello.
I need you to guess a number between 1 and 100.
1 and 100. Nothing up my sleeves. No collusion occurred. Something's coming to me.
All right. We have a number. Okay, now I will go back to Eric. Thank you, Mitzi, for your participation.
I'm feeling good about this.
That is
the
good.
amazing Eric will do this, I know.
All right. Will Eric give the correct number? Let's see.
All right, Emily. I was able to sort of visualize this, I think. Mitzi, confirming again, no collusion, correct?
No collusion.
No collusion.
None whatsoever.
The great Alexander inspires me to guess 79.
That's the number!
Whoa! All right. Now, listen.
Oh my.
If you want to know how we did that trick, you're going to have to buy the Dr. Q book because we're not going to tell you. However, if you'd like to guess how we did that trick in the spirit of Halloween, why don't you leave your comments as to how we did that trick in our YouTube comments, and I'll read them and let you know if you were correct. All right, so that is a cool 20th century book of magic. We're going to also do a 19th century book of magic, Emily, and this one, I have to say, is really, really neat. Now, I bought this just last week at an auction as the memoirs of the Empress Josephine. Now, Josephine was, of course, married to Napoleon. Doesn't seem like that controversial or anything having to do with magic. But when I got the book home and opened up the book, it wasn't a normal biography of Josephine, because you started to look at the illustrations in this book, and look at what I found, Emily. Well, that is Josephine's palm. Now, what is that doing in her biography? Well, it is because this biography wasn't written by just anyone. This biography was written by Mademoiselle Lenormand, who was a great cartomancer of the early 19th century. She met Josephine when they were both imprisoned during the Reign of Terror. And she told Josephine at that time that her husband was going to be beheaded, but that she was going to live, and she would later remarry a strong general. And she sure did, because she eventually remarried Napoleon. And when she remarried Napoleon, she kept up a lifelong friendship with the Mademoiselle, who read her fortune at various times. And it just so happens that it could be said that the entire course of European history in the early 19th century was determined at the card table of Mademoiselle Lenormand. Now, what makes this book even more interesting, and not a standard biography, is that the Mademoiselle was also a bookseller. And she increased the value of the book by signing all of her copies of this book. And so there is an original signature of Mademoiselle Lenormand. Pretty awesome, isn't it? Now,
Yes.
Today, Mademoiselle Lenormand is still known because she originated Lenormand cards. And if you go online and you Google these, you will see that these cards are based on the original design that the Mademoiselle used in the early 19th century. The very design that she unfortunately used to predict Napoleon's exile and punishment, which landed her in jail for yet a second time, but we won't get into that. I will say that I asked right before this show, I asked these cards, would this be a good and informative buy day? And boy, did I get a message from Mademoiselle Lenormand. I was told that the buy day would be cutting and informative and filled with all sorts of fantastic information. So, this is what we are going to do as a grand finale here. We're not going to do the grand tableau. We're going to do a 3-card reading. Emily, I want you to think of a question that maybe has a yes or no answer. It should be a question that you don't mind me answering in front of thousands of people on social media. And don't be Napoleon and ask me if you're going to win at the Battle of Waterloo, because if the answer is no, you will not be happy. So ask a question that you don't mind the answer to, one way or the other. First of all, reach out with one hand and cut the deck. Just cut it. Cut it into 2. Okay, hard to do with one. Okay, is that good? All right, we have a cut deck. Now, I'm going to give you 3 cards. They go in chronological order. The first card, second, and third cards tell a narrative. It's the third card which will determine generally whether it is a positive affirmative answer to your question, a yes or a no. Are you ready? Emily,
Yes.
ask me a question.
Okay, I am new to the area. I want to know if I will have any trick-or-treaters that will dress up as witches this year.
Oh, will you have any witches come to your home for Halloween? All right, card number 1. It is birds, and birds are representative of a journey. There should be Halloween people journeying to your door. The second, however, is clouds, which means that it is not clear. It could be that you have a smoke machine at your house, but it could also be that it is not clear whether or not there will be a witch. We need greater affirmation. Oh, and the answer is the fox, the trickster, which implies that, yes, I do believe you will have many Halloween folks trick-or-treating at your door trying to trick you into a treat, and that will include witches. Lenormand cards, you can still buy these online. They're still practiced today. People believe in it, and we have an original book published and signed by her. All right, we're going to finish today, Emily, with a funny book. I know you're sort of into vampires, so I picked How to Get a Date with a Vampire. And this is a wonderful book. As the back of the book says, why do we love vampires? Well, they're hopelessly romantic, devastatingly sexy, and passionately sincere, but best of all, they know how to make a commitment. And one of the things I like about this book is it will help you identify if your date is a vampire. And here are some interesting hints, which I think are important. Does he always want to pick the wine? I thought that's funny. Does he tend to disappear right before there is a group picture or photo? And does he avoid meals in which he knows many of the dishes will be flavored with garlic? Well, those are just some clues in how to determine if you are in fact dating a vampire, but they make committed partners. Well, thanks for watching. We'll be back next week and every week on Friday for another edition of Buy Day with adventures in the world of books. Happy Halloween.